Recording in progress.
Hare Krishna, we'll begin with our prayers. Mama Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuru Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Vishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Tadamahyam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnava श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सगणारघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादां सगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्ता नमोस्तुते तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुस्ते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमः विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी निति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna, welcome everyone. We are discussing from third canto, chapter 22nd, the marriage of Kardamuni and Devahuti. So in the last class, we discussed how Lord, he appeared in front of Kardamuni and he was very happy. He wept tears seeing the devotion and surrender of Kardamuni. He blessed Kardamuni. Kardamuni offered prayers that a person who has lost his intelligence will worship you for material desires. And actually, I am that type of person because I worshipped you for getting a good wife. But actually, it was not the case. He was not absorbed in material desires. He was just fulfilling the order of Brahmaji, who is the order carrier of Supreme Lord himself. So then after that, Lord said, I have already fulfilled your desires, or already arranged for a good wife. After a few days, Swayambhu Manu will come with his daughter and will get married to Devahuti. So as told by the Lord, Swayambhu Manu comes and Kardamuni, he welcomes Swayambhu Manu and Shatarupa and Devahuti was also there. And Kardamuni glorifies Swayambhu Manu very nicely. That's what we have discussed so far. So in 22nd chapter, the marriage between Devahuti and Kardamuni will be described. We'll begin this chapter. Maitreya Uvacha Evam Avishrita Shesha Gunakarmodayo Munim Savrida Ivattam Samra Upatam Uvacha.
Sri Maitreya said, after describing the greatness of the emperor's manifold qualities and activities, the sage became silent, and the emperor, feeling modesty, addressed him as follows.
So after he glorified, Kardamuni felt silent and then so Avishkrita Ashesha. Ashesha. Avishkrit means having described, Avishkar. So Avishkar means to discover. So he discovered, that means he described the glories of Kardamuni, Swayambhu Manu, and then Ashesha, all the glories. And then he felt silent. And then in response, of course, if somebody is glorifying, then of course we have to say something. Although a humble person does not like to hear his glories, and a proud person, he has very big ears who likes to hear his glories a lot. It's like Kumbhakarna. कुंभकर्ण मतलब क्या है? His ears are like big kumbh. He likes to hear his glories. So उसको उठाने के लिए बहुत सारा उसका गुणगान करना पड़ता है. So that's how humble person and the proud person are. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes, he was embarrassed because of his hearing his own glories and because of the descriptions of his occupation when he himself was completely dedicated to the Lord. So humble person knows that I am just an instrument in the hands of the Lord. I am not doing anything. Whatever is there, it is all by the mercy of the Lord. I am just an instrument. All my powers, they are coming by the mercy of the Lord. Anywhere else, we have heard such type of description when a person says everything is given by the Lord. In the first canto, Arjun, when he returns, what he says? He returns from Dwarka, he could not save the wives of Krishna. So what he says there? One remembers.
My solace is that I remember those pastimes of the Lord.
Yeah. So he's that is there. Before that, he says this is the same Gandiva, same horses, same chariot, same warrior, but now everything has become null and void. Sauravam Shanen Tat Abhud Asad Ishwariktam, because Isha is not there, Lord is not there, it has all become null and void. And he gives 3 examples there. If somebody pours oblations on the ashes, it is of no use. Then if somebody waves a magic wand in the air, nothing will come out. And if somebody sows seeds in the barren land, nothing will come out. So that's how a humble person knows that, and there Prabhupada writes, one should not be proud of the borrowed blooms. Nothing belongs to us. As Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita, Paurusham Nrishu. All the strength in the men, they are coming from Krishna only. So that is a very natural realization of a pure devotee or an advanced devotee. They never think I am qualified, I deserve this. So naturally now, Swayambhu Manu, he starts speaking. Manura Uvacha Brahma Srijat Swamukhato Yushmanatma Paripsaya Chandomayastapo Vidya Yoga Yukta Alampatan.
Manu replied, to expand himself in Vedic knowledge, Lord Brahma, the personified Veda, from his face created you, the Brahmanas, who are full of austerity, knowledge, and mystic, and are averse to sense gratification.
Brahma asrijat, Brahmaji created Swamukhatah from his face. So in the second canto, also in the Virat Rupa, the face, head is Brahmanas, the hands are Kshatriyas, the belly is the Vaishyas, and legs are the Shudras. So he's saying, Brahma asrijat Swamukhato Yushman Atma Paripsaya, to protect himself by expanding. That was the purpose of the Lord. He wanted to protect the living entities and he wanted to do his service. Chandomaya Tapo Vidya. So he created Brahmanas who are full of austerity, knowledge, and mystic power. Yoga Yuktan Alampatan. Alampatan means they are averse to sense gratification.
Mystic powers also Brahmanas.
They have Brahmanas, they have all the powers. If they want, they can use that. Oh, all the story, Vashishta Muni and Vishwamitra ka story. So all the Brahmanas, they have all the powers, but they use it for the right purpose. Prabhupada writes. Somebody can read that.
The purpose of the Vedas is to propagate the transcendental knowledge of the absolute truth. The Brahmanas were created from the mouth of the Supreme Person, and therefore they are meant to spread the knowledge of the Vedas in order to spread the glories of the Lord. In Bhagavad Gita also Lord Krishna says that all the Vedas are meant for understanding the Supreme Personality of God.
Okay. Vedaisha Sarvair Aham Eva Vedyo. So that's the purpose of the Vedas. So Srila Prabhupada is focusing on the purpose for which Brahmanas are created. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes, so Swayambhuman was fearful that the sage may refuse his daughter in marriage. So therefore he is first explaining the relation between Brahmanas and the Kshatriyas in first 2.5 verses. So Brahmaji created Brahmanas to preserve the Vedas. And then he will tell Kshatriyas are the arms. They are supposed to protect the Brahmanas. So there is a relation between you and us already. And then Srila Prabhupada writes in this purport that knowledge is preserved. So Prabhupada writes, they are meant to spread the knowledge in order to spread the glories. So when the knowledge is spread, then it is preserved. So if we want to preserve the tradition, we have to spread the tradition. So for creating right legacy, Brahmaji is creating a parampara. And parampara should be presented in a manner which people can relate to. Otherwise, if the things are not presented in right parampara, it may be lost. And there are so many paramparas which have now become obsolete, irrelevant. Any paramparas, any traditions which are now irrelevant in current times, any rituals which are not followed, they have become irrelevant nowadays.
About the Ashwamedh, yeah, and also Yajnas that the kings will do.
Okay, they are irrelevant. Nobody can even control, win over the country, what to speak of the world, or any other traditions which have become obsolete now or irrelevant now. Because the knowledge was not propagated in right parampara, it is now lost. One of the systems is Varnashram system. Because the knowledge was not preserved properly, the culture was not preserved. So Varna and ashrams, they are all the Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, they are not preserved. Guna karma is not there. It is now according to the birth. So that is one of the systems which is now lost. So knowledge is presented in a parampara. So Prabhupada writes, especially mentioned here, Yoga Yuktan Alampatan. Brahmanas are full of mystic powers and completely averse to sense gratification. There are two kinds of occupation, sense gratification and spiritual activity. So there are only two occupations, either sense gratification or spiritual activity. So that's how people are. They either do one of these two activities. No other occupation people do in this world nowadays. Either enjoy or practice spiritual life. There are no in-between things. And there are two types of people who are happy in this world. One who is completely engrossed in sense gratification, and other who is self-realized. और जो बीच वाले रहते हैं, जिनको शुद्ध भी बनना है, इंद्र तृप्ति की इच्छा गई भी नहीं है, just like two types of students are happy in exams. इसने सब पढ़ लिया, 4 बार रिवीजन हो गया है, और दूसरा इसने बुक देखा ही नहीं खोल के, so he is also thinking अभी फायदा ही नहीं, जो होगा देखा जाएगा. यश्च मूढ़ तमो लोके यश्च बुद्धे परम गता स्तौ भव सुखमेधेते क्लिश्यति अंतरितो जना. बीच वाले जो हैं, they are always disturbed. So that is how people of this world are. And then Prabhupada says, those who engage in sense gratification, they are demons. Those who are engaged in spiritual activity, they are demigods. So Prabhupada always tells, who are the demigods? Who are serving Krishna, who are engaged in spiritual activities. So that's how the knowledge is preserved when it is propagated. It is not preserved. Knowledge is not preserved by just keeping them in the textbooks. Knowledge is preserved when there are people who are following that knowledge by living examples. It is not. We should present the scriptures in a way people can relate to. What Srila Prabhupada told when he wanted to tell about the Vaikuntha to the hippies. What did he tell them? अब अभी इन लोगों को क्या मालूम, क्या बताऊं अभी, how they will relate to spiritual world, that they will develop a desire to go there. Prabhupada said, spiritual world is an ocean of LSD. अभी जाना है हमको, you know. So that's how, that is how, first canto, 4th chapter, I think first verse, Prabhupada gives the definition of realization. What is realization? 141. So there Prabhupada writes, it is not just artificially surpassing over the previous acharyas, but to present the knowledge according to time, place, circumstance, so that the substance of the knowledge is preserved. So I'm just paraphrasing, so that's what Prabhupada says. So we have to present in a way people can relate to, then the knowledge will be preserved. That is the purpose of Brahmanas. So it is responsibility of the Brahmanas to preserve. It is the responsibility of the leaders to preserve the legacy. Next verse. Tatranaya srijastasman dosahasra sahasrapad hridayam tasya hi brahma. Translation. Third verse.
Protection of the Brahmana, the 1,000-legged Supreme Being created us, the Kshatriyas, from the 1,000 arms. Hence, the Brahmanas are said to be his heart, and the Kshatriyas his arms.
Okay. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes in the third verse purport, who will protect the Brahmanas? So in the second verse he said, Brahmanas are created and they preserve the Vedas. They propagate, they are always averse to sense gratification. Who will protect the Brahmanas? For from his 1,000 arms he created the Kshatriyas. Thus they are one with the Lord. Who will protect the Kshatriyas? The Brahmanas will protect them. So Kshatriyas protect Brahmanas and Brahmanas protect Kshatriyas. He continues the description. When someone comes to attack the heart is seen to be protected by arms. And when the arms are attacked, one contracts the body and arms are protected within the heart. Thus, the protector of the heart is arm and the protector of the arm is the heart. Brahmanas are the heart of the society, and in the absence of a suitable king, they can guide the society. That's what happened in the case of Anga Maharaj. When Anga Maharaj, he just left because he was disgusted with his son Vena. So nobody was there. So Brahmanas, they enthroned Vena. But then they found out that this Vena is more atrocious. One good thing happened was all the thieves and dacoits, they ran away. Because they thought, ये तो हमसे भी ज़्यादा cruel है. हम ये और भी हमको मारेगा. So, but then they stopped. He stopped all the sacrifices and all the good things. Then ultimately, just by a hunkar, all the Brahmanas killed Vena. And then ultimately they went back to their Brahmanical activities. They didn't think, abhi chalo abhi Raja nahi hai to hum hi baith jate hain. We'll decide to elect among ourselves a king. No, they went back to their duties, but then they realized that again now dacoits are increasing and their activities, they're destroying all the citizens and everything. Then they churned the body of Prithu Maharaj, they churned the legs and the personality came out. What's the name? Bahuka. And he was Nishadaraj. Then they churned the hands and came out Prithu and Archi. So that's how the Brahmanas are responsible for maintaining the social order in the society. Prabhupada writes, Kshatriyas are specifically meant to protect the Brahmanas because if the Brahmanas are protected, the head is protected. Brahmanas are head of the society. If the head is not clear and has gone mad, and then has not gone mad, then everything is in clear proper position. Namo Brahmanya Devaya, Go Brahmanya Hitaya Cha, Jagad Hitaya. So Prabhupada elaborates something about the Brahmanical civilization. Brahmanas means cow protection and Brahmanical culture. So that's how the Brahmanas, they maintain social order. In one class, Chaitanya Charan Prabhu was telling that there were two types of sages in the past. The city sages and the forest sages. So city sages, they were immediately available. They would stay in the city only. And they would give relevant guidance. But the problem was because they depend on the king for their subsistence, they would get influenced by the king. If the king would say, I want to do this, you find out proper shloka from the scriptures by which I can do this yajna. And they would do that. So forest sage, they were in the forest and they were not so much in touch with the society. So when they would give some solution, sometimes it would be irrelevant for the society. Because मुझे मालूम ही नहीं अभी समाज में क्या हो रहा है. I'm in the forest. But good thing was they were not dependent on the king. Therefore they could give a very, very candid and very clear instruction. They had long-term vision. That's why many times we hear in the scriptures, the sages, the king, they would go in the forest to meet some sages. Some sages would stay in the city, but some sages would stay in the forest. When the king wanted a long-term vision, he would go to the forest sages because they would not be influenced by the king. So both are needed. So that's how there is a collaboration and interdependence between Brahmanas and the Kshatriyas. And he continues that in the 4th verse also. Ato hi anyonyamatmanam brahmashatram cha rakshataha rakshati smavyayo devaha saya sadasadatmakaha.
That is why the Brahma and the Kshatriyas protect each other as well as themselves and the Lord himself, who is both the cause and effect and yet immutable, protects them through each other.
Anyonyam, they protect each other. Brahma Shatram cha Rakshataha. The Brahmanas and the Kshatriyas, they protect each other and they protect themselves as well. Brahmanas protect Kshatriyas and they protect themselves also in this way. Rakshati Sma Vyayo Deva. And the Lord himself is also protected. That means the Lord, the Tattva of the Lord is protected. And the citizens, they would get a chance to worship the Lord without any adulteration, without any other theories. When Brahmanas are protected by Kshatriyas, the citizens would get very nice philosophical understanding about who is Lord. Rakshati sma vyayo deva yo yaha sad asadatmakaha. So Lord, who is cause and effect and is immutable, he protects them through each other, and the Lord is also protected. Srila Prabhupada, Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur writes, the Brahmana protects the Kshatriyas by the strength of his austerity, and the Kshatriya protects the Brahmanas by the strength of his body. So Brahmana protects Kshatriya by austerity, and Kshatriyas protect by body. And the Lord protects both of them. The entire social structure of Varna and Ashram is a cooperative system meant to uplift all to the highest platform of spiritual realization. Varna Ashram Acharvata Purushena Parakuman Vishnu Aradhyate. It is all for the purpose of Vishnu Aradhan. So Brahmanas, they give vision, and Kshatriyas, they implement the vision. Brahmanas are like education department, Kshatriyas are like the police department. Both are needed. Prabhupada writes, Brahmanas and Kshatriyas cooperate nicely. When they cooperate, the other subordinate divisions, they automatically flourish. But if the Vedic education is not there, then the merely police department will not solve the problem. And we can see in the statistics, Indian population is 133 crores, I think, and American population is 33 crores something. So America has around 18,000 police stations. How many police stations India has? India has around 17,900 something. So that is the reality. So why there is so less police station? There are so less. Although population is 4 times. यहाँ पे 33 crores है, यहाँ पे 133 crores, but police station उतने ही है, same, and the crime rate is more still in America. Why?
Brahmanas.
The Brahmanas are not there. Two things control people: Shastra or Shastra. If the Shastra is not there, then Shastra is needed. But still, people will not be controlled because the inner restraint is not there. They'll find the loopholes. So that's how it is very important. For example, if the room is unclean and there are lots of rats moving around, what should we do? Kill all the rats. क्या करना चाहिए? Clean the room. No? So the problem in today's society, people are more focusing on killing the rats, but not interested in cleaning the hearts. If the hearts are not clean, then how many rules you may apply, people will come up with some other loopholes. So cleanliness is more important, and of course we have to. But still, some rats will come, so then we'll have to keep some rat traps. But focus should be on cleaning the room. That is more important. That is not happening. Prabhupada writes, the entire system of Vedic society is based on importance of Brahmanas and Kshatriyas. The Lord is the real protector, but he is unattached to the affairs. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Namam karmani limpanti, name karma phale spriha, iti mamayo bhijanati karmabhir nasabadhyate. So that is how the Lord, although he is doing everything, he is aloof. He is nirvikar, Prabhupada writes. He is nirvikar, without any activity. Although he is engaging in all the activities of this world, but still he is not affected by the modes. Etad ishanam ishasya prakriti tadgunaihi na yujyate sadatmasthai yatha buddhi tadashraya. The Lord, although he is doing all the things in this material creation, but the divinity of the Supreme Divine is Prakriti Asthopi. Although he is in this material world, na yujyate. He never gets touched by it. So that's the Lord is creating all this, but he is not affected. As Krishna says, Chatur Varne Maya Srishtam Gunakarma Vibhavisham. What's the next line? Anyone remembers? Tasya Kartaram Apimam Vidhi Akartaram. But I am Akartaram. I am not affected because Namam Karmani Limpanti Name Karma Phale. Because I don't want the results, I am not affected. I've just created the system and people, they do a particular karma and they fall into that system. I'm not responsible. So people say, just see Krishna, he has created all this caste system. No, it is not Krishna's creation. He has just facilitated things to make the social system work properly. Then Prabhupada writes in the next paragraph, although individual souls are different, the super soul is the Supreme Lord. Individually, oneself may differ from others in certain qualities and may engage in different activities, such as those of Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya. But when there is a cooperation, the Supreme Lord, being one in every individual soul, is pleased and gives them all protection. And then the next paragraph, Prabhupada writes, Krishna, he is the proprietor of all the bodies. He is Kshetragya. There are two types of Kshetragya. Atma is also Kshetragya. Paramatma is also Kshetragya. So Prabhupada writes, he is a Kshetragya of all the bodies. He is the supreme proprietor. And he does not become divided by protecting the different individual souls. He remains one and the same. Prabhupada gives the example of sun. Sun is always there above the heads of everyone. It is not that sun is on one person's head only. No. Sun is on everyone's head. Similarly, Lord is one, although he individually oversees each and every individual soul. In the second paragraph, Prabhupada writes another interesting line. If the different castes and sections, although apparently differently occupied in different activities, nevertheless act in full cooperation, then the Lord is pleased. Srila Prabhupada would always tell, if you want to please me,
Cooperate with each other.
cooperate with each other. Cooperation is the most important thing. And even in the Bhagavatam, Krishna says, I am pleased because you are cooperating. Prachitas. Sauhardena, Param Vrinidvam Bhadram Vo Yuyam Va Nripanandana. Please ask benedictions, O sons of the kings. Sauhardena Aprathak Dharma Tushtoham Sauridenava. Two times he is using the word Sauharda and Sauridena. So cooperation pleases the Lord. So when devotees they cooperate to serve the Lord, then the Lord is pleased. Competition may be there, but that competition should increase the service. Otherwise, in the previous times when Prabhupada said, if you want to please me, distribute my books. So there was a huge, intense competition. And different bus parties are there. तो एक bus party वाले दूसरे का बस पंक्चर कर रहे हैं, कि वो नहीं जाना चाहिए, मैं जाके ज्यादा बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करके आऊंगा. So that is not the right cooperation. Competition should increase the service. That is the right competition. If the Brahmanas and Kshatriyas are not cooperating, then there is no inspiration for the lower Varnas to cooperate. So if the leaders are not cooperating, then why the followers will cooperate? So that's how you have to understand. The cooperation is always in focus. Otherwise, the whole system will get corrupted. Chaitanya Chandra was saying, Brahmanas are supposed to educate, Kshatriyas are supposed to manage, and like what would you think? Brahmanas deal with knowledge, Kshatriyas deal with power, Vaishyas deal with money, and Shudras deal with
Service.
yeah, but he used certain, I think, like words there. So Brahmanas, they basically control the people's heart, and Kshatriyas, they control the people's mind and hands. So it is the duty of Brahmanas to give right knowledge so that people's mind and intelligence is in right order. And then the Kshatriyas can control the hands so that the society will work properly. So then, in the fifth verse, Swayambhu Manu, he is very nicely telling how to accept the glorification. Tava sandarshanadev Chenname sarva samshaya Yat swayam bhagavan pritya Dharma mahari rakshishoh.
Now I have resolved all my doubts simply by meeting you, for your lordship has very kindly and clearly explained the duty of a king who desires to protect his subjects.
He's saying, thank you for telling me kya karna hai mujhe. All of this I am supposed to do. So somebody is glorifying us. आप ऐसा कर रहे हैं, वैसा कर रहे हैं, तो समझिए ऐसा करना है. That is what is expected from us. Tava sandarshana, just by having your darshan, chinna me, all my sanshaya have been destroyed. Yat swayam bhagavan pritya, because your lordship has very kindly explained, ah means explained, dharma rirakshisho. You have explained the duties of the king who desires to protect his subjects. So that's how, even if the glorification is exaggerated sometimes, one should accept the glorification in this mood. I'll come up to this standard by the mercy of the Lord. You have glorified very elaborately, but by mercy of the Lord, by mercy of the devotees, someday I'll come up to this standard. So in the purport, Prabhupada glorifies the association, saintly association. तुलयां लवेनापि न स्वर्गं न पुनर्भवं भगवत संगी संगस्य मर्त्यानां किमुताशिषः. So many verses are there glorifying association. One moment association is greater than Swarga or even liberation. Anyone remembers any other verse where the glorification of the association is there? At least 5-10 तो ऐसे ही याद होना चाहिए. अभी तो आप थर्ड कैंटो पढ़ रहे हैं. So many times it has come. When Vidurji returns, युधिष्ठिर क्या बोलते हैं? भवद विधा भागवतः तीर्थभूता स्वयं को. और फिर और कहाँ पे आता है? नारद मुनि वहां पे बोलते हैं. फिर परीक्षित महाराज बोलते हैं सुखदेव गोस्वामी को, येषाम संस्मरणात् पुंसाम, just by remembering a great soul one gets purified. What to speak of if somebody gets a chance to see, to hear, to touch. So all these things now. तन्नो भवान वै भगवत प्रधानो महत्तमैकांत परायणस्य हरेरुदारम चरितम विशुद्धम. ओके ठीक है, उसमें तो 3 टाइप थे, वो ग्लोरिफिकेशन ऑफ द हियरर, स्पीकर एंड द सब्जेक्ट मैटर वहां पे आता है. ओके बहुत सारी जगह. तो एक दूसरा आता है महत सेवा द्वारा माहुर विमुक्ते. So all these things Prabhupada elaborates there in this purport. Even it comes in the 12th canto when well, Lord Shiva and Parvati, they are moving in the sky and they see Markandeya Muni doing tapasya. तो पार्वती बोलती है उनको जाके थोड़ा वरदान दीजिए ना, इतना अच्छे से सेवा कर रहे हैं. So बोलते हैं उनको जरूरत नहीं है, he doesn't need this, he's already a liberated soul. But still we should go and meet with this person for our benefit. अथापि संवदिष्यामो भवानी एतेन साधुना अयम ही परमो लाभो निणाम साधु समागम. Still we should go and samvadishyam, talk to him, because paramo labho, it is great beneficial act even for people like us. So that's how Lord Shiva is glorifying association. So Prabhupada writes about all this association of devotees. If one meets,
Other devotees,
ना बहुत सारा बोलते हैं, सताम प्रसंगान मम वीर, ये सब तो पूरा सीरीज है वही. It will come, yes. Prabhupada writes, if one meets a saintly person completely engaged in devotional duties, transcendental duties, and achieves his favor, one life's mission is complete. What is not possible to achieve in thousands of lives can be achieved in one moment. लवमात्र साधु संग. साधु संग ये भी नहीं बोले आप लोग, साधु संग सर्वशास्त्र के. ये तो 12,000 बार सुने हम लोग. Then Prabhupada writes, if it is therefore enjoined that one should always associate with saintly people and disassociate oneself from common man. There's a great emphasis. उसमें हरि भक्ति सुधोदय का है ना एक श्लोक, निष्किंचनस्य भगवद् भजनोन्मुखस्य पारं परं जिगिमशो भवसागरस्य. If you want to cross this material world, then 2 things you have to do. Sandarshanam Vishayinam. Please don't associate with Vishay, and those who are don't associate with Vishay and Vishay. Who is more deadly, more dangerous? Vishay or Vishay?
Vishay.
Why? Why?
Vishay can continue. Vishay can continue.
Vishay is the person.
Yeah, so why? No, but for us, why that Vishay is more dangerous? क्या होगा, क्या ज्यादा प्रॉब्लम हो सकता है विषय से विषय?
He will influence us.
ओके ठीक है. और
Because lusty desires, it keeps increasing proportionately, it will not go down. Like it's like adding fuel to the fire.
Yes. Yeah. One more thing will happen is a Vishay will never tell anything wrong about Vishay. उसका जितना भी पिटाई होगा ना वो 25 पैसे का सर्कस है वो. All of us have heard about 25 पैसे का सर्कस. Even if he will suffer, he will tell मजा आएगा. He will always glorify sense gratification. And that will keep us perpetually bound in the Vishay. Because एक बार विषय भोगेंगे पता चलेगा नहीं कुछ मजा नहीं आ रहा पिटाई हो रही है then will not do it again, will try to give it up. But दोबारा जाके विषय को मिलेंगे बोले अरे you don't enjoy, मुझे तो बहुत मजा आया था. Although he may have been beaten many times. So that is a problem. Okay, then he says now again he is glorifying. Swambhu Manu is glorifying association of Kardamuni. Dishtya hi Bhagavan Drishto Durdarsho yo Kritatmanam Dishtya Padraja Sprishtam Sirshna me Bhavatah Shivam.
It is my good fortune that I have been able to see you, for you cannot easily be seen by persons who have not subdued the mind and controlled the senses. I am all the more fortunate to have touched with my head the blessed dust of your feet.
Dishtya. बहुत बार आता है Dishtya, by some good fortune. May I have seen Drishta you Bhagavan. Who is called as Bhagavan? We have discussed this earlier also. भगवान किसको बोलते हैं? यहाँ पे कर्दम मुनि को भगवान बोल रही है. Who can be called as Bhagavan? Anyone remembers? अभी कर्दम मुनि तो साधु हैं, उनको भगवान क्यों बोल रहे हैं? Yes.
Detached from this worldly.
So मैंने I think last time also one time also I had discussed 4:23:30. Prabhupada describes who can be called as Bhagwan, addressed as Bhagwan. He says a person can be addressed. A person can be addressed only as Bhagwan only if he has three features. If he is a great personality who exhibits extraordinary and uncommon features. Second, who attains the greatest goal after his disappearance. Third, who knows the difference between knowledge and ignorance. These three types of people can be called as Bhagavan. 4:23:30. And then again 4:31:8. There Narada is called as Bhagavan. So there also Prabhupada writes, why he is called as Bhagavan? Bhagavan and Narada, because Narada is always absorbed in Bhagavan. So he is also called as Bhagavan. Bhagavati Uttama Shlod Avishta Atma. So Narada has no other business than thinking of Krishna, talking of Krishna, preaching about Krishna. Therefore, he is sometimes called Bhagavan. So these are the reasons why a person can be called as Bhagavan. So here he is calling Kardamuni as Bhagavan. Dishtyahi Bhagavan Drishta. Because Durdarsha, it is not so easy to see you. Kritatmanam, a person who has not controlled his mind and senses, they cannot see you. But Dishtya, again is Dishtya. तो बहुत भाग्य से आज आपके चरण की धूलि मिली है. शीर्षना में भवतः शिवम. भक्तपद धूलि, भक्तपद जल, भक्त भुक्त अवशेषे, तीन महाबल. So what it takes to me, what it means to take dust. Dust लेना, पांच का चरण रज.
Follow the instructions.
Follow the instructions. एक बार वारान प्रभु को एक डिवोटी बोला, प्रभु जी प्लीज गिव मी योर डस्ट, आई वांट टू टेक योर डस्ट. बोले डस्ट लेना है, आज बहुत सेवा में सेवा करो. That is the meaning of taking dust. If you accept subordination to a devotee, that is the meaning of taking dust. And it is so very rare. प्रभुगणैतत्तपसा न याति न चेज्जया निर्वपणा गृहाद्वा न छन्दसा नैव जलाग्निसूर्यै विना महत्पादरजोऽभिषेकम्. So Jadabharat is telling to Rahula Maharaj, by tapasya, by ijjaya, by dan, in sab se nahi milega. You cannot get devotion only by Mahat Pad Raja Abhishek. Prahlad also does the same thing to Hiranyakashipu. Kya kar raha hai? Unless you take the dust of the devotees' feet, kuch nahi ho sakta. Prabhupada writes, Mahat Pad Rajo Abhishekam. Prabhupada quotes this verse, Bhu Ganita Tapasa Nayati, usme aata hai. Vina Mahat Pad Rajo Abhishekam. Which means to be blessed by the holy dust of the Mahatma. Who is a Mahatma? Mahatmanastu Mahampartha Dhairyam Prakriti. Who is a Mahat? One becomes Mahat by being in the Parampara. So Prabhupada quotes that conversation, Rahugana and Bharat Maharaj. And then Prabhupada quotes this, Guru Ashtakam, Yasya Prasadad Bhagavat Prasado. Okay, next verse. Dishtya, again he says, Dishtya Tvayanushishtoham Randrai Jushta Dishtyoshati Giraha.
Fortunately instructed by you, and this great favor bestowed upon me. I thank God that I have listened with open ears to your pure words. Hare Krishna.
Dishtya Tvaya Anushishto, I am fortunately been instructed. I have been instructed by you. और भाग्य से instruction मिला है. It is a great favor. पाया यार आज्ञा धन. The Agya is a treasure. It is a mercy. Not everyone receives the mercy of the Guru and the great authority, great teachers. Krita cha anugraha mahan. Thus great favor has been bestowed upon me. Apavritai karna randhrai. And I have listened with my open ears. कान खोल के सुना है मैंने सब. Jushta Dishtyoshati Giraha. It is again my great fortune to hear pure words. Again and again he is saying, my fortune, both bhagya mera. I am greatly fortunate. So unfortunate person does not get association. Fortunate gets association. More fortunate gets to hear in association. And the most fortunate person gets chance to repeatedly hear in association. So although Kardamuni glorified Swayambhumanu, Swayambhumanu is taking here as all these things as instruction. He says, I have listened with open ears and I will try to follow it. Attention, attentive at heart is more important than attentive ears. If somebody is hearing with open heart, then he will be ready to follow the instructions given by the superiors. Otherwise, even if somebody hears, if his heart is not open, they'll not follow it. So he's saying, I have heard with my open ears and open heart. So that is how Swayambhumanu is really glorifying. Srila Prabhupada writes, he quotes from Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, how to, Rupa Goswami describes how to accept a bona fide spiritual master, how to deal with him. Out of the 64 limbs of devotional service, the first is what? What is the first? Accepting a spiritual master. Adav Guru Padashraya. That's what Prabhupada writes. The first is the candidate must find a guru, then eagerly receive instructions and execute them. This is reciprocal service. A bona fide master or saintly person always desires to elevate a person who comes to him. Karnarandrai. Prabhupada focuses on this word, Karnarandrai, through the holes of the ears. Favor of the spiritual master is not received through any other part of the body. Ears are the most important. And then he says, he instructs through the ears, not privately but publicly. So many times devotees think, मुझे personal instruction नहीं मिला गुरु का. But Prabhupada is writing, not privately but publicly. All the instructions are given in the public lectures. If a person is really attentive and with open heart is listening, they'll get all their instructions. So a guru gives two kinds of instructions, some temporary instructions and some permanent instructions. Temporary instructions are related to some services. That may be given in private. But the permanent instructions are about how to develop right attitude towards devotional service. That will be given in public lectures only. So nobody should feel मुझे personal कुछ नहीं मिल रहा है. Permanent instructions are there in all the lectures of the gurus and the acharyas. It is not much about personal association, of course. It is not about minimizing Vapu, but we all have heard Vani is more important. Padam Kanan Maharaj, once he was Niranjan Maharaj, when once he was asked, Maharaj, how many times you have met Prabhupada? Can you tell us something about your personal meeting with Prabhupada? What did he tell? How many times you have met Prabhupada? He said, 0. He didn't meet Prabhupada anytime. He received Diksha also through letter. But what he is doing amazing service to Prabhupada. So it is not about personal association, it is about opening hearings from the spiritual master with an open heart and ears. Prabhupada writes, there are different departments of activities in Krishna consciousness. And the spiritual master, knowing the particular ability of a man, trains him in such a way that by his tendency to act, he becomes perfect. Bhagavad Gita makes it clear that one can attain the highest instruction simply by offering service according to his ability. Nimittamatra bhavasabhyasachi. Then Prabhupada writes in the next paragraph. This combination, the instruction of the spiritual master and the faithful execution of the instruction by the disciple makes the entire process perfect. So, instruction and execution. सुन लिया अच्छे से महाराज ने गुरुदेव ने बहुत अच्छा इंस्ट्रक्शन दिया एग्जीक्यूट किया क्या उसको if we are not executing then it will not help us. Prabhupada quotes this verse many times, Vyavasayatmika Buddhi, because this verse was the impetus for Srila Prabhupada to follow the instructions of Saraswati Thakur. Vyavasayatmika Buddhi, Saraswati Thakur gave instructions. You go and preach in the Western world in English language. Vyavasayatmika Buddhi. Prabhupada took it as his life and soul. Here Prabhupada is writing that. Saraswati Thakur describes in his explanation of Vyavasayatmika Buddhi. What is the meaning of Vyavasaya Buddhi? One who wants to be certain to achieve spiritual success. One must take the instructions of spiritual master as to what his particular function is. He should faithfully try to execute the particular instruction. The faithful execution of the instruction which he receives from the spiritual master is the only duty of a disciple. That will bring him to perfection. So now, after glorifying and reciprocating nicely, now Swayambhu Manu he offers his request, why he has come here. He says, by seeing you, all my suffering has been destroyed, but one suffering is still remaining. कौन सा है? My daughter is yet to be married. He described in all these verses, सब कुछ अच्छा हो गया, आपका दर्शन करके all the problem is gone, लेकिन एक problem बची, मेरी बेटी का विवाह करना है. सभवान दुहित्र स्नेहा श्रोतुम् अर्हसि दीनस्य श्रावितं
O great sages, graciously be pleased to listen to the prayer of my humble self, for my mind is troubled by affection for my daughter.
दुहित्र स्नेह परिक्लिष्ट आत्मना. My mind is agitated. I'm searching for a suitable match for my daughter. So that's how I should pray to anyone. When somebody goes to pray to a superior person, first glorify that person. His heart will be open. And then one should ask. That is the way we approach the Lord also. 3 types of prayers are there. What are 3 types of prayers? Samprarthanatmika, Dainya Bodhika, and Lalasamaya. First glorify, then express your fallen condition, and then ask them. All right, somebody can read this purport.
When a disciple is perfectly in conscience with the spiritual master, having received his message and executed it perfectly and sincerely, he has a right to ask a particular favor from the spiritual master. Generally, a pure devotee of the Lord or a pure disciple of a bona fide spiritual master does not ask any favor either from the Lord or from the spiritual master. But even if there is need to ask a favor from the spiritual master, one cannot ask the favor without satisfying him fully. Swayambhu Manu wanted to disclose his mind regarding the function he wanted to execute due to his affection for his daughter.
So first serve, and then you can ask if you have some desires. 9 to 14, he gives various reasons why Kardam Muni should accept Devahuti. First qualification, he says, she is coming from a good family. Priyavratottanapadah Swaseyam duhita mama Anvichhati patim yuktam Vaya shila gunadibihi.
My daughter is the sister of Priyavrata and Tanpad. She is seeking a suitable husband in terms of age, character, and good qualities.
She is a sister of Priyavrat and Uttanpad. So that means she is coming from a great family. So Chakravarti Thakur writes, unnecessary worries are removed by mentioning that she has 2 brothers. Don't worry. If there is some problem, they will help you. They'll do the needful. By mentioning that it is his daughter, he indicates that Kshatriya's daughter are suitable for this age. It is Anulom, not Pratilom. So that is how he describes. Prabhupada writes, the purpose of Manu's introducing his daughter as a sister of Priyavrat and Uttanpad was to convince the sage that the girl came from a great family. And then she has good character and she is of a suitable age. Vayaha, Sheel and Guna. By age, by character, and by qualities. She is amazing. She has no match. It is clear that although the daughter was mature in age and qualities, she did not go out and find her husband independently. She expressed her desire for a suitable husband according to her character, age, and quality, and the father himself took charge of finding the husband. यदा तु भवतः शीला श्रुतरूपावयो गुणान् अशृणो नारदादेशा त्वय्यासीत् कृतनिश्चया.
The moment she heard from the sage Narada of your noble character, learning, beautiful appearance, youth, and other virtues, she fixed her mind upon you.
So Narad Muni is always working to, just hasten the pastimes. So कुछ भी कहीं पे भी जरूरत है तो वो करते हैं. चाहे ग्लोरिफिकेशन करना है मैच मेकिंग के लिए या फिर कंसा को जाके बोलना है कि ये पता नहीं कौन सी है, पहला है कि आठवीं संतान है. So he is always doing the right thing and that's why people they misunderstand. ये हमेशा इधर की बात उधर करते रहते हैं. But his only purpose is to somehow assist the Lord in his pastimes. जल्दी जल्दी सब होना चाहिए अच्छा अच्छा लीला. So first qualification is she is coming from a good family. Second qualification is she has fixed her mind on you. The moment she heard Ashranon, जब से सुना है तब से she has decided. One other lady decided just by hearing. Rukmini. स उपश्रुत्य मुकुन्दस्य रूप वीर्य गुणश्रिय गृहागतं गीयमाने तं मेने सदृशिं पति. उपश्रुत्य, डायरेक्टली उनको जाके नहीं बोला. All the sages would come in the assembly of Bhishmaka and they would glorify Krishna, and she overheard Upashrutya Mukundasya. What she heard? Rupa, Virya, Guna, Shriya, Grihagatam, जो घर में आके गाने वाले लोगों से सुना है. And she decided, तम मैंने सदृशिम पति, शादी करूंगी तो इनसे ही करूंगी. So Devavati also decided. Prabhupada writes, Devavati did not see personally, nor did she personally experience his character, but she heard about Kardam Muni. Hearing from an authority is better experience than gaining personal understanding. So that's why he's telling she has already fixed her mind on you. So if a girl fixes her mind on someone, it is better to marry that girl than to marry a girl on whom you have fixed your mind. So that is very important, because if a lady fixes her mind on someone, she will not change in ordinary situations. So that's why he's telling she has already fixed her mind on you. So it is best for you to marry her. Then third and fourth qualification he describes in the 11th verse. He says, she is compatible and she will take charge of household duties. Chinta mat kari. Ghar ka kaam karegi. No. तत्प्रतीच्छ द्विजाग्रे मां
योगिरागेन
मया
श्रद्धयोपयुक्तागे मया
सर्वनानुरूपं रूपां ते
सर्वत्वनारूपान्ते
कर्मसु.
गृहमेधिषु कर्मसु.
Please accept her, O thief of the Brahmanas, for I offer her with faith, and she is in every respect fit to be your wife and take charge of your household duties.
Sarvatma anurupam. She is compatible. And grihamedhishu karmashu. She will take charge of your household duties. So then Prabhupada writes about these two things. Grihamedhishu karmasu means in household duties. And sarva atma anurupam. Wife should not only be equal to her husband in age, character, and qualities, but must be helpful to him in household duties. A household duty of the man is not to satisfy his sense gratification, but to remain with the wife and children and at the same time attain advancement in spiritual life. Then Prabhupada writes about Grihamedhi and Grihastha. Okay. And then Prabhupada writes last few lines. It is the duty of the wife to take charge of household affairs and not to compete with the husband. A wife is meant to help but she cannot help her husband unless she is completely equal in her age, character, and quality. So that's how a wife should be compatible. Similarly, when we are in association of devotees, we should find devotees who are compatible with our nature and associate with them. Sajatiya shaye snigdha sadhu sangha swato vare. In any service also, if one devotee likes book distribution and other devotee likes reading Bhagavatam, and they start, staying together, what will happen? एक बोलेगा क्या बैठ के पढ़ रहा है, प्रभुपाद ने बोला डिस्ट्रीब्यूट कर बुक, और दूसरा बोलेगा अरे पढ़ेगा नहीं तो कैसे पता चलेगा क्या बोलना है. So that's how we have to associate more with people who are having same inclination like us. So that is very important. And then he says in the next verse that you should not say that you cannot accept my daughter because you are a detached ascetic. Don't think like that. उद्यतस्य हि कामस्य
उद्यतस्य हि कामस्य
प्रतिवादो न शस्यते
प्रतिवादो न शस्यते
अपि निर्मुक्तसङ्गस्य
निर्मुक्तसङ्गस्य
कामरक्तस्य किं पुनः.
कामरक्तस्य किं पुनः.
To deny an offering is not commendable even for one absolutely free from our attachments, much less one addicted to sensual pleasure.
This is very interesting. He is saying, see, you have already prayed to the Lord for a suitable wife. Now, artificially don't show detachment. It's like if you go and for prasad at somebody's home and आपका अच्छा favorite वाला dish भी आए, बोले नहीं 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 पेट भरा हुआ है, नहीं नहीं नहीं, बाद में बोले और थोड़ी देर दे तो अच्छा होता. एक बार तो ना बोलना पड़ता है ना. Saying ये ज्यादा दिखावा करने की जरूरत नहीं है. Should not deny an offering. Prabhupada would tell you should be shameless in two things, in business and in eating prasad. प्रसाद आए तो ऐसा ज्यादा कुछ शर्म नहीं करना चाहिए. नहीं नहीं ऐसा नहीं चाहिए, नहीं चाहिए.
पर अत्याहार
नहीं नहीं मतलब अत्याहार इज वो तो मतलब based on the desire और चाहिए. But if you want something and it is given to you and then artificially you are saying नहीं नहीं ठीक है चलेगा,
discount what they don't accept.
वो इस्कॉन में आके हम सीख गए ना. बाहर तो ऐसा बहुत होता है. बाहर तो मतलब खाना भी रहेगा तो पहले 5 बार ना बोलेंगे तो स्टेटस अच्छा रहता है अपना. इधर उल्टा है, बोलेगा कुछ और लाओ. So एक बार one time one of our devotees, South Indian, अपना ब्रह्मचारी था. So then and few more devotees they went for prasad at one Mataji's devotees place. तो वहां पे सर्विंग चल रहा है and उसको वड़ा, वो मेदू वड़ा था. So he liked that. So उनको बोल रहे हैं सही. So he's saying, so माताजी आके बोलती हैं प्रभु जी लीजिए ना. So थोड़ा सा शर्म लग रहा था. ऑलरेडी 5 सर्विंग हो गया है एंड साउथ इंडियन है तो उनको और मन कर रहा था खाने का. तो वो एक बार नहीं नहीं माताजी नहीं नहीं, तो दोबारा थोड़ी देर नहीं 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 नहीं, तो 3-4 बार, चौथी बार आए नहीं नहीं ठीक है 5 दे दीजिए माताजी. So to deny an offering is not commendable, even for one who is free from attachment. If something is coming on its own, accept it. What to speak of if you want it? चाहिए और सामने से आ रहा है तो ज्यादा आर्टिफिशियली दिखावा ना बोलने की जरूरत नहीं है. So that is what he is telling.
Prabhuji, I really want to get this clear.
क्या हो गया? What is it?
Really to say, we should also say no, Prabhuji. I mean, suppose
अभी आप इस हेल्थ तो देखिए आफ्टर अ सर्टेन एज नेचुरली योर बॉडी विल से अभी नहीं चाहता है ना. सो अपना एक ही तो सेंस ग्रेटिफिकेशन है. एंड आफ्टर सर्टेन एज अभी 30, 40, 50 हो गया तो मतलब वी आर वेरी कॉशियस. तो क्वेश्चन वो तो रहता ही नहीं है कि हाँ अभी खाएं कि नहीं खाएं, ऑलरेडी बॉडी विल से अभी कोलेस्ट्रॉल बढ़ गया है, ये प्रॉब्लम चल रहा है, बीपी हो गया, कम करो। सो अभी खा सकते हैं तो खा लो। तो अभी मतलब हमारे वीटीए में, अपने टेम्पल में वीटीए वैष्णव ट्रेनिंग एकेडमी रहता है। ऑल द बॉय स्टूडेंट्स दे ज्वाइन फॉर 1 year, दोज आर वर्किंग। तो वहाँ पे वन डिवोटी वाज आर्टिफिशियली डूइंग ऑस्टेरिटी। मतलब वीटीए में टेम्पल का महाप्रसाद भी आ रहा है, स्वीट राइस आ रहा है। तो गौरांग ब्रो यू टोल्ड हिम, देख अभी मिल रहा है तो खा ले, ज्यादा आर्टिफिशियली वैराग्य मत दिखा, क्योंकि 20 साल के बाद ना चाहते हुए भी खाने को नहीं मिलेगा। So of course we have to control our senses, but eating is like one thing. After a certain age, naturally body will say कि बस हो गया, नहीं जाता है। And of course we have to be careful about our eating. आपको, आप तो डॉक्टर हैं, अभी आपको क्या बताएं what to eat, what not to eat. So the more, if you are not controlled, then the problems will be there.
So how to understand it is coming through on its own accord, but sometimes it's the plan of Maya also, na Prabhuji. How Maya can act on a person, we don't know, no?
Some devotees, while doing japa,
एक मिनट, वो प्रोजी का क्वेश्चन है, what, how to understand it is the act of Maya. Maya is tempting a devotee और खा ले. So of course in the beginning days of ISKCON, I don't know if it's not getting detected here. नहीं
Not
already
only eating, I'm saying about any other sense object.
no, Zoom में दिखने आया है. I'm not getting this. ये इसका I think एक बार लैपटॉप को ना बंद करके ऑन करना पड़ेगा तब जाके हो. So that's why I'm not doing it. Anyways, I'll manage. Yes, Rajesh, sorry, you were saying something?
I'm saying not only the eating part, but any other objects, na sense objects, many other sense objects. And suppose a person says, it is written that if it is come on their own account, let us enjoy. But how to understand that plan? That is, Sardamuni is a very elevated soul. So that's a different part of context here.
Yeah, so
How to a sadhaka to understand this.
correct. If it is something is coming on its own, but the point is he was doing tapasya for that purpose only. And Swayambhu Manu knew this. Narad Muni had told him also that Kardam Muni is doing tapasya to get a good wife. So the point here is, if we are doing tapasya to get something, and if that thing is given to you, उस समय पे artificial दिखावा मत करिए कि नहीं नहीं मैं तो संतुष्ट हूँ. बोल रहे हैं वैसा कि अभी आप ये नहीं बोल सकते कि you don't want my daughter, because you did tapasya only for that purpose. So the point is that. Point is not about if anything come on its own and you say देखो भागवत में लिखा है. You can take things out of context. ये यूज करके बहुत सारे लोग बोल सकते हैं उद्यतस्य कामस्य. Just like भागवत में एक श्लोक है, you know how to deal with your family members and relatives when they are not devotees. वहां पे बहुत अच्छे से 7th canto में आता है वो.
Also, the word graha medhi word has been used
वो
in
मैं
many
बोलता हूँ.
contexts.
I read your question, bro. I'll just ज्ञातयः पितरः पुत्रा भ्रातरः सुहृदोपरे यद्वदन्ति यदिच्छन्ति च अनुमोदेत निर्मम. ज्ञातयः, when your relatives, putra, pitra, your elders, your sons, your relatives, bhratara, your brother, surida, all your well-wishers, yadvadanti, yadichanti, when they desire something, when they tell you, ये ऐसा करो, ऐसा करना चाहिए, थोड़ा business ऐसा करो, आप लोग क्या ये हरे कृष्णा में पड़ गए हो. How we should respond? Anumodit nirmama. Acknowledge their statements, don't get attached to their statements. Papa says, you should say, yes, that's all right, wonderful suggestion, but you should never do it. So people can take this out of context. बोले devotee circle में भी ऐसा ही करना चाहिए, जब सेवा है तो yes पक्का करेंगे, लेकिन कभी करेंगे नहीं. श्योर बोलेंगे खाली. So out of context ले सकते हैं इसको. So here the context is, Kardamuni did tapasya for a wife and he is telling, आपने तपस्या किया, अभी मैं अपनी पुत्री को दे रहा हूँ, आप ये नहीं बोल सकते कि oh, I don't know, I don't want. So Prabhuji का क्वेश्चन है यहाँ पे in the previous verse purport Prabhupada writes somewhere कहाँ पे लिखते हैं where it is Prabhuji Ramchandra
Ramchandra is mentioned in the previous, I think, some other chapter. But here, Prabhupada is giving explanation about Brahmedi, na? So the word Medhi is like a stamba. Yeah.
Chandra
So
is
I'm saying
also
that the word sometimes.
some purport it's there in Bhagavatam कहीं तो है purport में so basically Graha Medhi is contextually has different meanings so Graha Medhi is also called used to describe a person who has a married life, who has entered a married life Grihasthash. So it is not a bad term but it has different connotations in different places. So Graha Medhi is, the word can be used for a person who is married, householder. So usko bhi Graha Medhi bolte hain. But there are other meanings of Graha Medhi also. That's why Lord Ramchandra, I remember this, Lord Ramchandra is also described as Graha Medhi in one purport. But the context is he is in a household life. Okay. So Prabhupada writes in the purport, in material life, everyone is desirous of sense gratification. Therefore, a person who gets an object of sense gratification without endeavor, very important, without endeavor, should not refuse to accept it. Kardam Muni was not meant for sense gratification, yet he aspired to marry and pray for a suitable wife. And this was known to Swayambhuva Manu. He indirectly convinced Kardam Muni, you desire a suitable wife like my daughter. Now she is present before you. You should not reject the fulfillment of your prayer. Accept my daughter. So when sense gratification comes on its own, and of course, if it is not pratikul, it is not against, it is not unfavorable, then we can accept it and use it in Krishna's service. But if it is not favorable, then we should reject it. So the principle of Atyahar and Prayas should always be taken into consideration when any sense gratification comes. Artificial detachment doesn't work long. So we have to work according to our level. If I have a desire to eat sweets and I can digest also, artificial detachment won't work. Frustration aa jayega phir. So better to be humble and eat it. And then due course of time, natural detachment will come for sure. He continues. Ya udyatam anadritya kinasham abhiyachate shiyate yat tadyashasfitam manaschavagyaya hatah.
One who rejects an offering that comes of his own accord, but later begs a boon from a miser, thus loses his widespread reputation, and his pride is humbled by the neglectful behavior of others.
इस तरह अभी आ रहा है कोई और अभी ना बोल रहे हैं बाद में आप मांगेंगे and people will not give and you will be humiliated. So Chakravarti Thakur writes, this verse speaks about the conduct in this material world. One who rejects something out of shyness and because of concern for position and then begs that object from one who will not give it, he loses fame. Shyness and concern for position are soon destroyed by the strength of the desire. You have a desire and it is coming and you are thinking, nahi, kaise le lूं मैं? Log kya kahenge? Then the force of the desire will increase and you'll shamelessly ask for the same thing again. And then the honor will be destroyed. Even the wise men of mature vision should accept things Not forbidden. That is very not forbidden. If something is not forbidden, coming on its own, without asking, you should accept it. After surmising that even having detachment, it will be destroyed by the desire in one's mind. Srila Prabhupada writes, the general procedure of Vedic marriage is that father offers his daughter to a boy. That is a very respectable marriage. A boy should not go to the girl's father and ask for the hand of his daughter in marriage. That is considered to be humbling one's respectable position. So that's why he's saying, I have come on my own, I am offering my daughter, so please accept. Next verse. Aham tva shrinam vidvan vivahartham samudyatam atastvam upakurvanaha prattam pratigrahana me.
Swayambhu Manu continued, O wise man, I heard that you were prepared to marry. Please accept her hand, which is being offered to you by since you have not taken a vow of perpetual celibacy.
So Kardamuni may say, how did you know the desire in my mind? The previous verse he says, I know you have desired it. So Swayambhu Manu says, do not ask about knowing, I have heard about it. मैंने तो सुना भी है. कहाँ से सुना है? I have heard from the mouth of Supreme Lord himself. He appeared before me and he told me this. So भगवान सब जगह पूरा अरेंजमेंट कर दी. पहले इनको जाके बोले, फिर स्वयंभू मनु को भी बोले कि हाँ, he wants to get married. So he's telling, don't tell about knowing Lord himself. And the good thing is you have not taken a vow of perpetual celibacy. Upakurvana. Upkurvana means perpetual celibacy. After staying in the ashram of a guru, after completing the education, so there are two types of devotees. One gets married, another continues celibate life. So there is a Naishtika Brahmachari and Upakurvana Brahmachari. So he says, you have taken a vow of Upakurvana Brahmachari. Upakurvana means you will get married for sure, I know. So then what is the problem? So that's how Swayambhu Manu he describes. Then from 15 to 20, Kardamuni, he is now accepting the offer of Swayambhu Manu for the following reasons. So 15 to 18, he describes the reasons why I am accepting. Rishira uvacha Badam udvodu kamoham aprattacha tavatmaja Ayoranuruposa Adyo Vaivahikovidhi.
The next stage replied, certainly I have a desire to marry, and your daughter has not yet married or given her word to anyone. Therefore, our marriage according to the Vedic system can take place.
So Sanjay Prabhu, I am putting you to mute. There is some disturbance coming from your side. First he says, I have a desire to get married. And second, Devahuti has not been given to anyone else. So therefore, our marriage can happen according to Vedic system. So according to Vedic system, there are 8 kinds of marriage. First is, the best is Brahma Vivaha. So Brahma Vivaha means the father is willing to give a girl to a deserving husband. Just like here, Swayambhu Manu is giving his daughter to Kardamuni. That is Brahma Vivaha. Prabhupada also writes in the purport middle. There are different kinds of marriages, of which the first class marriage is held by inviting a suitable bridegroom for the daughter and giving her in charity, well dressed and well decorated with ornaments along with the dowries. There are other kinds of marriage. So Prabhupada doesn't mention much. He mentions only one more, Gandharva Vivaha. So there is Brahma Vivaha. Second is Daiva Vivaha. So Daiva Vivaha is when father is not able to find any suitable groom. So father, he offers the daughter to the sacrificial priest himself. उनसे विवाह को करा देते. Third is Arsh Vivaha. Then the father offers dowry to the groom's family, and groom's family also gives something to the bride's family. Fourth is Prajapatya Vivaha. In that the bride's father doesn't have to give any dowry, neither demands any dowry. Prabhupada quotes about Gandharva Vivaha. Many examples of Gandharva Vivaha. Shakuntala Dushyanta story, that is Gandharva Vivaha. So love marriage, aarti context mein love marriage. Sixth is Asura Vivaha. Asura Vivaha means father of the bride demands dowry from the groom. Asura Vivaha. Seventh is Rakshasa Vivaha. Krishna and Rukmani kidnap the bride and marry. तो रुक्मिणी वही बोलती हैं माम राक्षसेन विधिनोद्वह वीर्य शुल्काम. Please marry me in Rakshasa style. You come and kidnap me and marry me. Don't worry about others.
That's not allowed in the name.
अभी अलाउड का तो आजकल क्वेश्चन ही नहीं रहता है. जो लड़का लड़की डिसाइड कर लेंगे बस हो गया. Rakshasa Vivaha. When the girl is and of course there is a fight which happens in Rakshasa Vivaha. There is always a fight. Krishna kidnapped Rukmini. There was a fight. Samb और उसमें भी क्या Lakshmana. So उसमें Samba also defeated, but then he was arrested. फिर बलराम जी came and all that. So उसमें fighting हमेशा होता. Bloodshed has to be there. कोई ना कोई तो मरने वाला है, कोई ना कोई तो bloodshed will be there. So that is Rakshasa Vivaha. There is something called as Paishach Vivaha also. When the man puts the black magic on the girl and brings her under the control and marries her. ऐसा भी होता था. Kinds of marriage are mentioned.
What is the third one?
Third one is Arsha Vivaha. When father offers a dowry and the girl's father also, groom's father also offers and the bride's father also gives a dowry. So Arsha Vivaha. So he says, okay, I have a desire to marry and she is not given to anyone else. And then Kardamuni in the 16th verse, he glorifies Devahuti. Translation, somebody can read.
Let your daughter's desire for marriage, which is recognized in the Vedic scriptures, be fulfilled. Who would not accept her hand? She is so beautiful that by her bodily luster alone, she excels the beauty of her ornaments.
So that's how beautiful she was. She excels the beauty of her ornaments. जैसे भगवान के बारे में बोलते हैं परम पदम भूषण भूषण अंगम. So Devahuti is also like that. Prabhupada talks something about this form of marriage is prevalent, and the marriage like Devahuti and Kardamuni is prevalent among the higher Hindu class even today, and is declared in the Shastras to confer great religious merit on the bride's father. To give a daughter in charity, इसको क्या बोलते हैं? कन्यादान. To give a daughter in charity to a suitable son-in-law is considered to be one of the pious activities, according to Manusmriti. Then Prabhupada writes some more. Prabhupada writes here, there are 8 forms of marriage mentioned in Manusmriti. Manusmriti में है सब. उसमें Prabhupada बोलते हैं, by Brahma, Rajasik and all that is now correct. Other kinds of marriage are by love, by exchange of garlands, by kidnapping, they are now forbidden in Kali Yuga. And then he gives an example how beautiful Devahuti was. Yes, translation.
I have heard that Vishwavashu, the great Gandharva, his mind stupefied with infatuation, fell from his airplane after seeing your daughter playing with a ball on the roof of the palace. For she was indeed beautiful with her twinkling ankle bells and her eyes moving to and fro.
But he is telling that, oh, I have heard about this also. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives some more additional purports. He says, she was so beautiful that this Vishwavasu, he became bewildered. So as he was observing, so Prabhupada writes, she must be playing on the palatial, on her terrace of the palace. Because the royal ladies, they don't come in the public. So she was playing. Prabhupada writes, it is suggested that private airplanes and helicopters were also current in those days. Vishwas was flying in the sky in his private plane. And Devavati was playing with ball on the roof of the palace. Ball playing was also current. But aristocratic girls, they would not play in the public place. Ball playing and other such pleasures were not meant for ordinary women or girls. Only princesses would indulge in such sports. And then Chakravarti Thakur writes, seeing her, Vishwavasu became bewildered and fell from his airplane like a corpse. Because of his great offense in looking at her with attachment, he immediately received the results of the offense by falling. He simply looked at her. Just by seeing, he was infatuated. Then he continues. Translation, next verse.
What wise man would not welcome her, the very ornament of womanhood, the beloved daughter of Swayambhuva Manu and sister of Uttanapad? Those who have not worshipped the gracious feet of the goddess of fortune cannot even perceive her. Yet she has come of her own accord to seek my hand.
Why Kardamuni is not mentioning Priyavrat here?
I think by the time already has gone to the.
He has gone to do tapasya. So therefore he is mentioning only about Uttanapad. So Kardamuni is also saying, oh, who will not accept a lady like her? And Prabhupada also describes she was actually the ornament of all ornamented beautiful girls. A girl becomes beautiful by putting ornaments, but Devahuti was more beautiful than the ornaments. She was considered the ornament of the ornamented beautiful girls. Lalana lalamam. The word used is lalana lalana lalamam. The ornament of all the women. Lalana means women, lalama means ornament. So she was really beautiful. But next verse describes Kardamuni was not attached. All the things which he told to Lord that I am like an attached person, lokam cha lokanugatam pashumscha hitva shatakshe charanat patram, जो पूरे पड़े होते हैं इंद्र तृप्ति में वही आपकी पूजा करते हैं. But in the next verse what he is saying, he says I have a condition. And this condition describes what is the mindset. Why he is doing this? He is doing this marriage as a service, not for sense gratification. Translation.
Therefore, I shall accept this chaste girl as my wife on the condition that after she bears me from my body, I shall accept the life of devotional service accepted by the most perfect human being. The process was described by Lord Vishnu. It is free from evil.
So in the beginning, मतलब कौन बोलेगा ऐसा? I will take sannyas after giving child to your daughter. And who will give his daughter to such person thinking that ये तो पहले ही चले जाने वाला. But he knows. So Ambhuman also knows who is Kardamuni and what is the power of Kardamuni and what will happen by this marriage. So he also accepts this condition. So Kardamuni didn't want to stay in household life throughout his life. Prabhupada writes there are two kinds of children born of good fathers. In the second paragraph, Prabhupada writes this. Two kinds of children. One is educated in Krishna consciousness so that he can be delivered and other is a ray of the Supreme Personality who teaches the world. The great householders pray to God to send his representative so that there may be an auspicious movement. This is one reason to beget the child. Another reason is that highly enlightened parent can train a child in Krishna consciousness so that the child will not come back. Otherwise, one should not become a senior person, either parents or guru or teacher or husband or mother or father. कौन सा श्लोक है ये? स्वजनो न सस्यात् पिता न सस्यान् न पति स सस्यान् दैवं न तस्यान् okay न मोचयेद्य समुपेत मृत्यु. If you can't deliver your subordinate, you should not become the master. And then Prabhupada writes basically 3 reasons for begetting child: for oneself and for benefit of the family. Second reason, for that soul who wants to get a gross body. And third reason, for the welfare of the society. So these are the 3 reasons. And then Prabhupada writes, sex life should be utilized only to produce nice child, not for any other purpose. Then he quotes about the Bhakti Vinod Thakur praying to the Lord to send a ray of Vishnu, and then Saraswati Thakur was born. Then Swayambhu Manu may say, well, why you are saying like that? Your father order was procreation, not renunciation. ऐसा कैसे बोल सकते हैं आप दे के चले जाएंगे? Then the next verse he says, you are not, my father is not my authority. Supreme Lord is my ultimate authority. And Supreme Lord's order is to beget and then leave. So therefore I am doing this. Supreme Lord has asked me to do this, and he is my ultimate authority. That's what he tells in the 20th verse translation.
The highest authority for me is the unlimited supreme personality of Godhead, from whom this wonderful creation emanates and in whom its sustenance and resolution rests. He is the origin of all Prajapati's. The personality is made to produce living entities in this world.
So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, the authority for this is the Lord alone, who arises in the memory of you and me. So my authority is the Lord. Lord is telling me this. I will follow his order alone, not my father's order. I'll follow the order of the Lord only. So that is how it is very clear why he is doing this service. Not for sense gratification, but to serve the Lord. And this makes it very clear. He was not attached to sense gratification. He was not attached householder. He was doing it just because Krishna has given the orders. And then Prabhupada writes in the purport about something about how Vishnu is the Supreme Lord. And Kardamuni, he knew this well, that serving the Lord is the supreme duty of everyone. So therefore, he is he's getting married, and then he'll beget a child. And that child would help the mission of the Lord. And then Prabhupada writes, begetting a child liquidates one's debts to the family in which one is born. There are 5 kinds of debts. कौन-कौन से debt होते हैं?
To the forefathers.
देव ऋण, पितृ ऋण, वो है ना देवर्षि भूताप्त, उसमें 5 आ जाते हैं. देव ऋण, भूत ऋण, ऋषि ऋण, आत्म देवर्षि भूत आप्त नृणाम पितृणाम. नृणाम ऋण and pitrinam ऋण. नृणाम means all the other living entities. कोई दूध वाला है, आपको दूध देने आ रहा है, उसका भी ऋण है. Prabhupada writes, and there was a conversation in that Prabhupada writes, he was talking to someone and he says, even if you engage a servant and even if you give him money for his service, but still you should give something extra. Because he's serving you, you have become indebted to that person. So you should give something also. So liquidate that debt. Anyway, and of course, a Krishna conscious person, the best thing which a devotee gives is Krishna consciousness.
असं का बोलू का
Prabhupada writes about that. If one engages in service of the Lord, one can liquidate all the debts. One becomes free from all the obligation. So then Maitreya Muni, he describes from 21st to 27 verses. Kardam Muni now marries Devahuti and Swayambhu Manu returns. Translation, 21st verse.
Sri Maitreya said, O great warrior Vidura, the sage Kardama said this much only and then became silent. Thinking of his worshipable Lord Vishnu, who has lotus on his navel. As he silently smiled, his face captured the mind of Devati, who began to meditate upon the great sage.
Yes. So he became absorbed in Krishna. So that is the heart of a pure devotee. As soon as the worldly dealings are done, immediately he will turn to Krishna. The quickly a devotee can switch from material things to spiritual consciousness, Krishna consciousness, that shows how he or she is advanced. Because the more we get entangled in dealing with the material energy, it is difficult to come back to Krishna. But for a pure devotee, he can do it very quickly, immediately. As soon as the material things are done, immediately he'll switch back and he'll be absorbed in Krishna. And that is what is happening here. He became silent, thinking of the Supreme Lord. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes, O fierce warrior Vidurji. Why he's calling Vidur as a warrior? A word है Ugra Dhanava. Sa Ugra Dhanava. Fierce warrior. एक भी युद्ध में अभी लड़े नहीं हम. Why he's called as warrior here? Many parts.
He always stood in the side of righteousness and piety.
Yes. So that's what Chakravarti Thakur writes. Just as a warrior like you does not turn from battle, Kardam does not turn from dharma. So Vidura never turned away from dharmic principles. He was a warrior. From the beginning of the birth of Duryodhana, he was always telling Dhritarashtra, just throw this child away. He'll become the cause of the destruction of the entire dynasty. To the extent when the just few days before battle, फिर से जाके बोलते हैं. और क्या होता है फिर? दुर्योधन hears. धृतराष्ट्र सुनता नहीं है, दुर्योधन सुन लेता है. So, and he started cursing and he says, वहां पे बोलता है, Vidurji says, Sa Esha Dosha Purusha. He is the sinful person, sin personified. Dridhaste, क्या आपका भला करेगा? पुत्र मतलब क्या होता है? पूर्णर्क त्रायते इति पुत्र. One who delivers one from hell. कैसे करेगा? श्राद्ध. ये श्राद्ध कहाँ करेगा? ये तो पुरुषस दृढ़ास्ते. He is envious of Supreme Lord. Why he'll do punya श्राद्ध? एष दोषा पुरुषस दृढ़ास्ते गृहान प्रविष्टोयम अपत्यमत्य. He is a result of your sins of million lives. Just throw this child, throw this son. फिर भी नहीं सुनते हैं. So that is what he's saying. You never turned away from dharmic principles. So Kardam Muni, he also never turned away from dharma. Prabhupada writes, it appears that Kardam Muni was fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness. Because as soon as he became silent, he at once began to think of Vishnu. That is the way of Krishna consciousness. Pure devotees are so absorbed in the thoughts of Krishna that they have no other engagement, although they seem to act or think otherwise. And then Prabhupada writes about the smile of a Krishna conscious person is so attractive that simply by smiling, he wins so many admirers, disciples, and followers. And Prabhupada has done it royally, Just by smiling, he could make things done. And devotees would do anything and everything to see the smile. Prabhupada, खुश हो गए ना, बस life is successful. That's how. Satsvarup Maharaj says that Srila Prabhupada didn't establish ISKCON. Smile of Prabhupada established ISKCON. Everybody would do anything to get smile on the face of Prabhupada. Prabhupada को खुश करना है, उसके लिए कुछ भी चलेगा. So that's how the disciples were ready to anything and everything. And Prabhupada would attract people by anything he would do. One time he was eating oranges and there was news conference going on. He was eating orange and throwing seeds in a dustbin at a distance. And एक reporter वही देख रहा है. सीधा all the seeds are going in that bin. And he was so fascinated. Wow, ये तो एकदम कुछ तो अलग है. And he's not listening what Prabhupada is saying. वही देख रहा है इधर से उधर. And then he started coming, he got attracted and he started becoming a devotee. So Prabhupada, whatever he did, it was amazing. Krishna Shakti Vina Nahi Tarak Pravartam. And the more you read about Prabhupada in the folio, in the Vedabase folio, there are hundreds of autobiographies about Prabhupada, how the devotees, disciples, they tell. So there are so many hundreds of stories how Prabhupada touched the life of each and every devotee just by looking at, just by smiling, just by touching. Devotees, they feel success, life is successful. So that's how Prabhupada was. Just by reading about Prabhupada, we understand how great this personality was. So Kardamuni was also smiling and Devahuti, her mind was captured. Next verse. Sonugatva vyavasitam Maishya duhitu skutam Tasmai gunaganadhyaya Tadao tulyam praharshitaha.
After having unmistakably known the destiny of the queen, as well as the of Devavati, the emperor most gladly gave his daughter to the sage, whose cost of virtues was equaled by hers.
So he consulted his wife and Devahuti, he asked Devahuti, and then he gave his daughter. And then Shatarupa, who is Shatarupa? Shatarupa Maharagi Paribarha Mahadhana Dampatyo Paryadat Pritya Goshavasa Parichada.
Emperor Chaturuppa lovingly gave more valuable presents suitable for the occasion, such as jewelry, clothes, and household articles, in dowry to the bride and the bridegroom.
So Prabhupada talks about how gifts were given according to the position of the father, Paribarhan, Mahadhanan, Bhushavasa, so all these things were given. Then Prabhupada writes about dowry. In the Vedic way of marriage, such a dowry is still given. The dowry system is not illegal, as some have tried to prove. The dowry is a gift given to the daughter by the father to show goodwill, and it is compulsory. In rare cases where the father is completely unable to give a dowry, it is enjoined that he must at least give a fruit and a flower. It was not forced that itna dena hai, ye itna dena hai. No, it is a love which the father shows to the daughter, and that dowry is the property of the daughter. If father is not able to give, chalo theek hai, kuch to dijiye, fruit or flowers. When there is financial inability and no question of accumulating a dowry, one can give fruit and flowers. Next verse, translation.
Thus relieved of his responsibility by handing over his daughter to a suitable man, Swayambhu Manu, his mind agitated by a feeling of separation, embraced his affectionate daughter with both his arms.
Next.
The emperor was unable to bear the separation of his daughter. Therefore, tears poured from his eyes again and again, drenching his daughter's head as he cried, "My dear mother, my dear daughter."
Interesting. Amba, what's up? He's calling my dear mother. So my dear Mamba, what's Saiti? So in many cultures, even small daughters are also called as mothers. So he's giving that. Prabhupada writes. Father sometimes addresses his daughter in affection as mother, and sometimes as my darling. The feeling of separation occurs because until the daughter is married, she remains the daughter of the father. But after the marriage, she is no longer claimed as daughter in the family. She must go to the husband's house, and she becomes the property of the husband. Then Prabhupada writes, women are never independent. So that's how position of mother is the topmost. Although father takes care of the family, he's the official head of the family, but mother runs the family. She takes care of everyone in the family. In the Madhva Sampradaya, when a person takes sannyas, a sannyasi will not bow down to the father. Father will bow down. But sannyasi will never bow down to the mother. That is the tradition. Sannyasi will never bow down to his mother. He'll always take blessings from the mother. But the father has to bow down in front of the son after he becomes sannyasi. So that is the tradition. So that's how mother is most respectable. It is said that the teacher is 10 times more venerable than Upadhyay, Adhyapak and Upadhyay. And the father is 100 times more venerable than teacher. Mother is 1,000 times more venerable than father. That is the junction. So that's how he's giving all the respect he's calling mother. Next verse. Translation.
After asking and obtaining the great sage's permission to leave, the monarch mounted his chariot with his wife and started of his captain, followed by his retinue. Along the way, he saw the prosperity of the tranquil seers, beautiful hermitage, and both the charming banks of the Saraswati, the river so agreeable to the saintly persons.
Next.
Overjoyed to know his arrival, overjoyed to know of his arrival, his subjects came forth from Bhatta to greet their returning Lord with songs, prayers, and musical instruments.
So now in this 28 to 39 verses, the rule of Swayambhuva Manu is described. How he ruled as a wonderful Krishna conscious ruler. So citizens, they became very happy that their king has come back. Prabhupada writes that the custom of the citizens to receive the king when he returns from a tour. Just like when Krishna returned from Hastinapur, all the citizens were so very happy. Rajamarge gate Krishne Dwarakayam Kulastriya Harmyani Aruruh Vipra Tadikshanam Utsava. All the ladies of Hastinapur, they climbed on the terraces and they were speaking about Krishna. One very interesting word was used there. The speeches और हस्तिनापुर की स्त्रियों के बारे में था शायद. What was that?
Vedic.
They were
Vaishnava Vedic.
क्या था उधर? अच्छा था actually. It was an interesting word. It was more attractive than the words of the scriptures. Sarva Shruti Manohara. क्या था श्लोक in the final? Sarva Shruti Manohara. So that's all the king, all the citizens they were. They also welcomed this Swayambhuva Manu. They came very nicely dressed to receive the emperor with decorations and musical instruments. Prabhupada quotes about Krishna returning to Dwarka. Beautiful verses were there. Bhavayanastam bhavavishva bhavan tvameva mata suritpatim pita tvam sadgururna paramam chadaivatam yasyanuvritya kritino babhuvima. You are our father, you are our mother, you are a worshipable deity. मिला क्या? क्या है? How does it start?
Anyonya
अन्योन्यामासीत संजल्प उत्तमश्लोकचेतसां कौरवेन्द्रपुरस्त्रीणां सर्वश्रुतिमनोहरा. So the Shruti Manohara. So Kauravendra Okay, thank you. So 29 to 32, the glory of the Parishmati is described. Yes, translation.
The city of Barismati.
Parishmati is the capital of Swayambhu Manu.
The city of Barismati, rich in all kinds of wealth, was so called because Lord Vishnu had robbed there from his body when he manifested himself as Lord Bo. As he shook his body, this very hair fell and turned into blades of evergreen pusa grass and kasa, another kind of grass used for lamps, by means of which the sages worshipped Lord Vishnu after defeating the demons who had interfered with the performance of their sacrifices.
Any place directly connected to the Lord is called a Speethasthana. Parishmati was exalted not because the city was opulent, but because the hairs of Varaha had fell. These hairs they grew as Usha grass. Okay, next verse translation.
Manu spread a seed of Ushas and Kashas and worshipped the Lord, the personality of Godhead. And in ways he had obtained the rule of the terrestrial deity.
So Prabhupada writes, Manu is the father of the mankind. That's why all the mankind is called as Manava. And he is himself a great devotee of the Lord. So Lord will never make anyone who is not a devotee as king. That is the purpose of the Lord. Why? Because when the king is a devotee, everybody will become a devotee. That is the purpose of the Lord behind this creation. So Lord always want a devotee to become a king. So Swayambhu was a great devotee. And he is doing tapasya, he is worshipping the Lord. And Prabhupada writes, the descendants of Manu must consider that whatever riches they have are the gifts of the Lord. This is like Kunti Maharani offers a similar prayer. Whatever opulence we have, it is because you have glanced on. How? See you because you have glanced on this Hastinapur. That's why this Hastinapur is so opulent. Because you have walked on this place, that's why this place is opulent. Otherwise, there is no purpose of us staying here. So that is how it is described. So all the descendants should know this. Those riches should be utilized for the service of the Lord in sacrifices performed to please Him. That is the way of utilizing wealth and opulence. So whatever we have, it should be used in serving the Lord. Neyam shobhishyate tatra yathe danim gadadhara tvatpadayankita bhati swalakshana vilakshitai. Because you have marked this place, that's why it is glorious. और एक और भी है उसमें, वो क्या है मेरे को? नियम शोभिष्यते तत्र आगे ही उसके पीछे है नियम शोभिष्यते तत्र क्या के पीछे एक और श्लोक है. Okay, anyways, we'll go to the next verse translation.
Having entered the city of Barismati, in which he had previously lived, Manu entered his palace, which was filled with an atmosphere that eradicated the three miseries of material existence.
Yeah. This palace was free from the miseries of material existence. Adhibhautik, adhidevik, adhyatmik problems were not there. Prabhupada writes, that is the spirit of Krishna consciousness. By practicing of bhakti, all these miseries will not exist. सच में होता है क्या? हाँ?
Must be there it is.
Prabhupada writes in the purport. It is not that miseries of the material world completely vanish when one takes to Krishna consciousness. But for one who is Krishna conscious, the miseries will have no effect. He will not be troubled by those miseries. problems will be there always. So his palace was free from miseries means nobody was disturbed by the miseries of the three modes. We cannot stop the miseries of the material atmosphere, but Krishna consciousness is an antiseptic method. For a Krishna conscious person, both living in hell and heaven are equal. That's what Lord Shiva tells to Parvati. Uh, just see the glory of this Chitraketu. You cursed him, but still he is not lamenting. He says, Guna pravaha tasmin kah shapa, kah anugraha, kah swarga, narakah koba, kim sukham dukkham eva va. Chitraketu tells. So, okay, this is all happening by the modes of nature. What is heaven? What is hell? What is blessing? What is curse? It is all modes of nature. And then Lord Shiva tells, just see the glories of the devotees of the Lord. Either in heaven or hell, they are only thinking of Krishna. So that's what Prabhupada writes here. Next verse, translation.
Emperor Swayambhuva enjoyed life with his wife and subjects and fulfilled his desires without being disturbed by unwanted principles contrary to the purpose of religion. Celestial musicians and their wives sang in chorus about the pure reputation of the emperor, and early in the morning every day he used to listen to the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead with a loving heart.
38 to 30, 33 to 38th verse, the glorious rule of Swayambhuva Manu is described. Previous to that, the glory of Barhishmati was described. Now the glory of the rule of Swayambhuva Manu is described. So he enjoyed with his wife and others without conflicting the dharma. He was enjoying according to the dharmic principles. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes, he did not contradict other duties. Starting at every dawn, he listened with heart controlled by the sweetness of the stories of the Lord. He began his day with Krishna consciousness by hearing the glories of the Lord. So that is how a responsible king begins his duty. So if we follow Krishna's system, then there will be prosperity for everyone and there will be liberation also. And that is what is happening in the life of Swayambhuva Manu. He's enjoying life. It is not that he's suffering. Kuch nahi hai. No, he's prosperous. Sahyagya praja srishtva purovacha prajapati anena prashavishyadham eshvastva ishtakamadu. Krishna tells in Bhagavad Gita, if you satisfy the devatas by yajna, they will also satisfy you. So that is what is happening. He is satisfying the Supreme Lord. So many times, devotees, when we hear this world is dukkhalaya, its material world is not a concentration camp. It is a prison house. What is the difference between concentration camp and prison house?
Concentration camp, they torture. Prisoners, they give something so that they can rectify.
Yes. So we have to understand that Krishna is giving us the facilities so that we can rectify our consciousness and connect to Him. It is not that there is only misery in this world. There is sufficient happiness given by the Krishna so that we can stay happily at the same time connect to the Lord, which is not there in heaven or hell. In heaven, so much of enjoyment, yaad hi nahi aati hai Krishna ki, kaise aayegi? And hell, so much of pain, can't remember Krishna. So that's how it is. So all these kings, they lived their life in such a wonderful Krishna conscious way. If you go to Jaipur, Jaipur king had वो गोविंद जी का मंदिर मतलब उनके घर में ही पैलेस में ही है. आप लोग गए ना जयपुर तो गए हो. So that's how it is. So kings had their temples as their center of the palaces. Prabhupada writes about all those things. Human life is meant for realization of Lord. Vedic culture was designed in a way so that conditioned souls can come back to Godhead. And then how he would live his life. Yeah, I think, okay, we'll end this chapter. Nishnatam Yoga Mayaso
Nishnatam yoga maya
Munim Swayam Bhuvam Manum
munim swayam bhuvam manam
Yada Pramshaitam Bhoga
याभं शैतु योगा सिकुर्गतत्वं भगवत्परम्.
The Shambhu Mano was a saintly king. Although absorbed in material happinesses, he was not dragged to the lowest grade of life. For he always enjoyed his material happiness in a Krishna conscious.
Yes. Nishnata, he was absorbed in Yoga Maya. He also was absorbed in Yoga Maya. Prabhupada writes in material temporary enjoyment. But he was saintly king. Muni Swayam Bhuvam Manu. He was a great saintly king. Yad Abhramshetum Bhoga. And because of this absorption, because he was Muni, he was absorbed in Krishna also, he was not dragged to the lowest of life. So that is how a devotee is. A devotee is given all assurance. Lord gives assurance to his devotees also. Always. Dhruv ko bhi yahi bole, don't worry, you enjoy, you will not be degraded. Prahlad ko bhi yahi bole. So the Lord gives assurance. You will enjoy and you will not be affected by the material problems and material entanglement. Prabhupada writes, the kingly happiness of material enjoyment generally drags one to the lowest grade of life. But Swayambhu Manu was considered a saintly sage because the atmosphere created in his kingdom was completely Krishna conscious. Just like Rupa Sanatan and Ramakeli, they had created Vrindavan. And in the daytime, they would be wearing all their robes and doing all the things with Muslim rulers. In the evening time, they would come, take back and dress as a Vaishnava. They would hear Bhagavatam with all the other devotees. That is how externally we may be living and working with people who are not at all Krishna conscious. But in the evening time, when we return, we have to wash our consciousness by immersing ourselves in Krishna Katha. Right. At present moment, modern civilization is too much attached to sense gratification. Therefore, Krishna consciousness movement can give the best opportunity to utilize the human life in the midst of material enjoyment. It is not that by coming to Krishna consciousness there is no enjoyment. खाली सुबह से जपा और लेक्चर और काम और कुछ भी सेंस ग्रेटिफिकेशन नहीं लाइफ में. Somebody asked Prabhupada, Swamiji, what do you do for recreation? I said, our whole life is recreational. सुबह से उठ के कौन डांस करता है बताओ. कौन डांस करता है सुबह उठ के? We start dancing at 4:30 in the morning. आपको डांस करने के लिए रात में पैसा देके you go to disco club then you dance. हमारा फ्री में रोज होता है डांस. So that's how Krishna consciousness is full of sense gratification, but that sense gratification elevates the consciousness. आयातयामास तस्यासन् यामास्वान्तरयापनाः शृण्वतो ध्यायतो विष्णोः कुर्वतो ब्रुवत कथाः.
Consequently, although his duration of life gradually came to an end, his long life consisting of Manvantara era was not spent in vain, since he ever engaged in hearing, contemplating, writing down, and chanting the past times.
It's interesting what all he was doing. Shinvato, Dhyayato, Kurvato, Bruvata, Katha. He was writing also. He was writing about the Lord. So that is how the devotee spends his life. प्रातः द्युत प्रसंगेन मध्याह्न स्त्री प्रसंगात् रात्रौ चौर प्रसंगेन कालो गच्छति धीमता. A sober devotee spends his day by hearing about gambling in the morning and women about in the afternoon and thieves in the evening. What is this? In the morning, Mahabharata, then Ramayana, then in the evening, the stories of Krishna, the Makhan Chor. Prabhupada writes, the life of Emperor Swayambhu Manu was not tasteless. Prabhupada writes in the previous purport, the previous lines, that when a food is fresh, it is tasteful. When it becomes stale, it becomes tasteless. At the fag end of the life, everything becomes tasteless. Everything appears to be vain and painful. The life of Swayambhu Manu was not tasteless. उद्धव जी के बारे में भी ऐसा ही डिस्क्रिप्शन आया था in the third canto, first chapter. Uddhav, although he was old, but he was very active. He didn't grow old. Although he spent years, but he didn't grow old. His enthusiasm was still fresh. There also Prabhupada writes, there is no retirement in Krishna consciousness. There is no retirement. गौरव प्रवेश बोलते हैं इस्कॉन में जवान सोता है बूढ़ा नाचता है The more we grow old in Krishna consciousness, the more we get responsibilities. और सेवा मिलता है. So that's how it is. So there is no way of thinking, अरे अभी क्या कुछ लाइफ में मजा नहीं है, टेस्ट नहीं है. Taste increases. As he grew older, his life remained as fresh as in the beginning because of his continued Krishna consciousness. A life of a devotee does not decrease. He comes closer to the Supreme Lord. Which verse says this? With every rising and setting of the sun, Vaipumsam Udyam Astan Jayannasau Tasya Rate Yatchanao Nita Uttam Shlok वाक्य अरे हमको श्लोक याद करना था ना ये फटाफट अभी खत्म करके श्लोक याद करेंगे आज एक. The life of a man in Krishna consciousness is always fresh. Prabhupada quotes this verse, Ayur Harti. Swayambhu Manu's life did not become stale after some time, for he engaged himself always in chanting. He was the greatest yogi. Vishnu Kuruvata Bruvata Katha. So a devotee never wastes time. He was the greatest yogi because he never wasted time. Definition of a yogi is one who does not waste time. Always absorb, अब क्या करना है, next what we have to do. I hope everybody is memorizing verses. भेज नहीं रहे मेरे को लोग. Only Raghunandan Ram Prabhu रोज भेजते हैं, 4 श्लोक भेजते हैं. And some more devotees are sending, but not regularly. Okay, then. Sa evam swantaram ninye yuganam eka saptatim vasudeva prasangena paribhuta gatitrayaha.
He passed his time, which lasted 71 cycles of 4 ages. That is 71 into 4
43,20,000.
lakh 20,000 years, always thinking of Vasudeva and always engaged in matters regarding Vasudeva. Thus he transcended the 3 destinations.
The point writes, what are 3 destinations? The destinations a person gets in the mode of goodness, passion, and endurance. Urdhvam gacchanti sattvastha, madhye tishtanti rajasa, जगन्य गुण वृत्तिस्था अधो गच्छन्ति तामसा. सत्व गुण में ऊपर जाएंगे, रजोगुण में इधर ही रहेंगे, तमोगुण में नीचे जाएंगे. He transcended all these 3 destinations. He went to the supreme abode. He quotes Bilva Mangal Thakur. A devotee is not attracted to even liberation. Mukti swayam mukulitanjali sevyate. The liberation stands in front of a devotee with folded hands, ready to serve him. शारीरा मानसा दिव्या वैयासे ये च मानुषाः भौतिकाश्च कथं क्लेशा बाधन्ते हरिसंश्रयम्
Therefore, O Vidura, how can persons completely under the shelter of Lord Krishna in devotional service be put into miseries pertaining to the body, the mind, nature, and other men and living creatures?
Yes. A devotee is never bound by the threefold miseries. That means he is never affected by them. Sharira, Manasa, Divya, Adhibautik, Adhyatmik, Adhidaivik. Vaiyase cha Manusha. Vaiyase means Vidurji. Vidurji को वयासे बोलते हैं और किसको वयासाकी बोलते हैं? Who is वयासाकी? देव गोस्वामी. तो व्यासाकी मतलब व्यास देव के पुत्र. तो ये भी व्यास देव के पुत्र हैं, इसलिए उनको वयासे बोल रहे हैं. वयासे ये च मानुषा. भौतिकाश्च कथं क्लेशा. There is no klesha for a person who is Hari Samshrayam, one who has taken shelter of Krishna. Next verse, translation.
In reply to questions asked by certain sages, he Shambhu Manu out of compassion for all living, which taught the diverse sacred duties of men in general and the different varnas and ashramas.
Yes. Etatta adirajasya manushcharitam varnitam varnaniyasya tat apatyodhyayam shanum.
I have spoken to you of the wonderful character of Swayambhu Manu, the original king whose reputation is worthy of description. Please hear as I speak of the flourishing of his daughter Vaibhav.
Varnitam varnaniya. और क्या है? श्रवणीय, पूजनीय, कीर्तनीय, स्मरणीय, अर्चनीय और स्पृहणीय, दर्शनीय, श्लाघनीय. Praise, being worthy to praise. श्लाघ्यतम उसमें आता है, श्लाघनीय है, उसमें कभी बोला नहीं. So Vardhaniya, all those things which are applicable to the Lord, all the same things are applicable to the devotees of the Lord also. Rupa Goswami in Nodi, after describing all the 64 limbs, he tells, all these limbs, they are equally applicable for the devotees also. You can worship the devotees with all these limbs. So that is how यहाँ पे वर्णनीय आ रहा है. Okay, so with this we'll end this chapter. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Shri Prabhupada ki Jai, Srimad Bhagvatam ki Jai.